We got any questions? All right, I'll just grab my stuff out of here and we'll move along here. I was looking, by the way, for just looking through this other book for a moment, and I came upon a passage that I thought would interest you. That passage is about, we're talking about Mendelssohn's offspring and what happened to them. This passage was about Mendelssohn's offspring. It was so sad, this passage, that I thought I would read it to you. Because I think you get a better feeling of things if you hear something that reflects something. This is from a letter that Abraham Mendelssohn wrote to his daughter. I told you by the third generation they had all converted. And it says, Abraham Mendelssohn, 1776 to 1835, son of Moses Mendelssohn. My dear daughter, this is why I raised you as a Christian. Letter to his daughter. My dear daughter, you have taken an important step, and in sending you my best wishes for the day and for your future happiness, I have it at heart to speak seriously to you on subjects hitherto not touched. Does God exist? What is God? Is he part of ourselves? And does he continue to live after the other part has ceased to be? And where and how? And all this I do not know, and therefore I have never taught you anything about it. But I know that there exists in me and in you, in all human beings, an everlasting inclination towards all that is good, true, and right, and a conscience which warns and guides us when we go astray. I know it, I believe it, I live in this faith, and this is my religion. This I could not teach you, and nobody can learn it. But everybody has it who does not intentionally and knowingly cast it away. The example of your mother, the best and noblest of mothers, whose whole life is devotion, love, and charity, is like a bond to me that you will not cast it away. You have grown up under her guidance, ever intuitively receiving and adopting what alone gives real worth to mankind, etc., 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 etc. This is all that I can tell you. Well, I might as well finish it. Your mother has been and is, I trust, will long remain to you, to your sister, your brothers, and to all of us, a providential leading star in our path of life. When you look at her and turn her over in your thoughts, all the immeasurable good she has lavished upon you by her constant self-sacrifice and devotion as long as you live, and when that reflection makes your heart and eyes overflow with gratitude, love, and veneration, then you feel God and are godly. This is all I can tell you about religion, all I know about it. This will remain true as long as one man will exist in the creation, as it has been true since the first man was created. The outward form of religion your teacher has given you is historical and changeable, like all human ordinances. Some thousands of years ago, the Jewish form was the reigning one. Then the heathen form. Now it's the Christian. We, your mother and I, were born and brought up by our parents as Jews. And without being obliged to change the form of our religion, have been able to follow the divine instinct in us and in our conscience. We have educated you and your brothers and sisters in the Christian faith because it is the creed of most civilized people and contains nothing that can lead you away from what is good, and much that guides you to love, obedience, tolerance, and resignation, even if it offered nothing but the example of its founder, and understood by so few and followed by still fewer. By pronouncing your confession of the faith, you have fulfilled the claims of society on you, and have obtained the name of a Christian. Now be what your duty is as a human being demands of you, true, faithful, good, obedient, devoted, till death to your mother. And I may also say to your father, unremittingly attentive to the voice of your conscience, which may be suppressed but never silenced, and you will gain the highest happiness that is to be found on earth, harmony and contentness with yourself. I embrace you with fatherly tenderness and hope always to find in you a daughter worthy of your and our mother. Farewell, and remember my words. I think he also said at one point that he and his wife also embraced Christianity because, quote, it is the religious form acceptable to the majority of civilized human beings. And this letter he wrote to his daughter Fanny upon her confirmation in the Lutheran Church. So all of Mendelssohn's efforts in his own family end up in things of this kind, which is fine. But see, he's a very decent person. There's even the son is a very decent person, very gentle, sweet person. But the forces around them are overwhelming, overpowering. I don't think you can. Even with a father like Mendelssohn, they were unable to cope with these forces. And it's really quite an incredible thing. There's also, just a quick note on Heinrich Heine is a very famous German poet. He's one of the best German lyric poets, and he converted to Christianity at some point, but his much more cynical, the way he puts it. There's a little note here which I found interesting. From the nature of my thinking, he's writing to somebody, you can deduce that baptism is a matter of indifference to me, that I do not regard it as important even symbolically, and that in the circumstances in which it will be carried out, in my case, it will have little significance for others likewise. For me, perhaps its significance will be that I can better devote myself to championing the rights of my unfortunate brethren, and yet I hold it beneath my dignity and a stain on my honor to undergo conversion in order to obtain a position in Prussia. Dear old Prussia, I really do not know what course to take in this bad situation. I'll turn Catholic yet for spite and hang myself. We're living in sad times. Scoundrels become our best, and the best must turn scoundrel. I understand well the words of our psalmist, Lord, give us daily bread that we blaspheme not thy name. The baptismal certificate is the ticket of admission to European culture. My becoming a Christian is the fault of those Saxons who suddenly changed saddles at the Battle of Leipzig. Apparently there were some German troops in Napoleon's army who switched sides in a battle in 1813 and went over to the German side, so Napoleon lost that battle. So he's saying, this is why that's how deep it is for him. My becoming Christian is the fault of those Saxons who suddenly changed saddles at Leipzig, or of Napoleon, who really did not have to go to Russia. That is, his campaign to Russia was stupid. Why did he bother going there and destroy his army? Or of his teacher of geography at Brienne, who did not tell him that Moscow winters are very cold. That's Heinrich Heine, who is, it's not all of Heinrich Heine, but he is considered probably one of Germany's greatest lyrical poets, 1797 to 1856, baptized in 1825 as a Lutheran. Later, he repented of it. He felt that it was wrong that he did that later in his life, but in any case, he did it. And many people did it here in the 19th century. He blames it on the failure of Napoleon. At least he blames his own need to do it on the failure of Napoleon. I'm not living in Germany at that time, so I can't describe it, but you see the problems that developed after people like Mendelssohn. Mendelssohn were able to hold it in check and so on, and try to make some sort of not a compromise, but try to weigh things together. You say, well, that's great that he converted to Christianity. Yes, except that he's surrendered the whole tradition from which he came from, and it's all lost. In any case, I'm sure a lot of the descendants died in the Holocaust anyway. But in any case, it's fine on a matter of a religious level, but on a personal level, it sort of is sad to see them having to do this kind of thing. We were reading last time Israel Jacobson,